Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the 44th Annual General Meeting of our company. Please note that I, Mrs. Fadike Olugbemi, have been appointed to act as chairman for the purpose of this annual general meeting. As the chairman of the board of directors, Chief Anthony Idigbe, SAN, is joining us virtually. Thank you. At this point, I'll call on Mr. Okeze Boniface to say the opening prayer. Mr. Boniface, please. Okay.
In Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for being here today. Thank you for everything to all of us in your life today. We thank you for the lives of the directors, staff, and shareholders of this company. Accept our thanks in Jesus' name. As we be deliberating on the way forward of our company, come and be our guide. Come and direct the affairs. You are always the chairman of an event like this. Let everything go according to your wish, so that at the end of the day, we have cause to glorify your holy name. In Jesus' mighty name I prayed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has made it imperative that certain restrictions be taken by the government in order to contain the pandemic in Nigeria. One of such is the restriction on numbers of persons in a gathering. Today, we are holding this meeting with virtual participation by certain persons who are duly represented by their proxies at the meeting. Further, we are being watched globally as this annual general meeting is being streamed live. Thank you very much. Thank you. By the combined provisions of Section 251 and Section 254 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, members can attend an AGM in person or by proxy. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, proactively, together with other regulators, issued guidelines which would enable companies hold general meetings in the restricted environment by proxies, subject to its approval. Consequent thereon, the 44th Annual General Meeting was approved by the CAC to be held by proxy with the following as pre-selected proxies: myself, Mrs. Fadike Olugbemi, Mr. Ufoma Ibru, Mr. Toke Alex Ibru, Dr. Alexander Thermopoulos, Mr. Kunle Aluko, Chief Michael Akinlade, Mr. Peter Eyanoko, Mr. Lukman Adeshola, and Alhaji Wahab Ajani. Article 60 of the company's Articles of Association provides that 3 members of the company, present in person or by proxy, shall form a quorum. Before the main business of today, may I now call upon the registrars to read to the meeting the proxy report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, and esteemed shareholders. We hereby confirm that 178 proxy forms were received, and we have 15 shareholders present here, representing 1,450,524,893 units of shares of the company. These units of shares represent 69.77% of the issued share capital of the company. The quorum, therefore, has been duly convened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now therefore declare that a proper quorum, as required by the company's articles of association for this meeting, has been formed, and I declare the meeting open. In accordance with Article 63 of the company's articles of association, a poll may be demanded by the chairman of the meeting or at least 5 members entitled to vote at such meeting present in person or by proxy and representing not less than 1/10 of the total voting rights of all the members having the right to vote at the meeting, or by 1 or more members entitled to vote at such meeting present in person or by proxy holding shares in the company conferring a right to vote at the meeting, being shares on which an aggregate sum has been paid up equal to not less than 1/10 of the total sum paid up on all shares conferring that right. The preselected proxies would all have received an electronic voting device tagged to the number and value of proxies held, by which you can exercise your votes by poll. The voting would be electronical and collated for real-time disclosure. I will now, as acting chairman, make a demand that voting on all matters to be considered at this 44th annual general meeting, save for the election of statutory audit committee members, be by poll. I would like to request that those moving motions, those seconding motions put to the meeting, those making comments or asking questions should speak clearly into the microphone. Before speaking, kindly commence by stating your name. There will be opportunity for questions and comments. I wish to appeal to each speaker to be brief and to please restrict himself or herself to one question only, so as to give others a chance to also ask questions. The profiles of the directors are contained in the published accounts, which have earlier been circulated. Permit me, therefore, to introduce the directors and the company secretary by their names and designations. Sitting to my extreme right is Mr. Toke Alex Ihplc. Next to him is Mr. Ihplc. And next to him is Mr. Kunle Aluko. In addition, joining virtually are the chairman of the company, Chief Anthony Idigbe, SAN, Alhaji Abacha Bulama. To my immediate left is Mr. T.E. Netufo. The group ably represented by Mr. Ikeja Ogu Gofo and Mr. Kayode Lawal. We also have members of the audit committee present, namely Alhaji W.A. Ajani, Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, and Mr. Peter Eyanoku. The directors' representatives on the audit committee are Alhaji Abacha Bulama and Mr. Kunle Aluko. I now call on the secretary to read the notice convening today's meeting.
Good morning. We also have the representatives of the Securities and Exchange Commission with us. Thank you. Notice of Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 44th Annual General Meeting of Ikeja Hotel PLC will hold at Sheraton Lagos Hotel, 30 Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, Ikeja, on Thursday, July 29, 2021 at 10 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business, to lay before members for approval the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2020, and to receive the report of the directors, audit committee, and auditors thereon. To re-elect retiring directors, Chief Anthony Idigwe, SAN, Mr. Kunle Aluko, Mr. Toke Alex Ibro. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors. To elect shareholder members of the audit committee. Disclosure of the remuneration of managers of the company. Special business, to approve the remuneration of the directors. Please take notes of the notes to the notice on page 7 and 8 of the annual report by order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Company Secretary. Before we proceed, I would like to recognize the presence of the hotel managers, the operators, representatives of the operators, Mr. Rex Najoff, the Cluster General Manager, and Mr. Z. Ismail, the Hotel Manager. Apologies. Thank you. Mr. Yakub, you're welcome. The chairman's statement was circulated together with the published account. I therefore would appreciate it if it is taken as read. Thank you very much. We now proceed to the agenda of the day. You will each have received your copy of the 2020 accounts of the company, together with the report of the directors. The first agenda for the day is to lay before members for approval the audited financial statement for the year ended December 31st, 2020, together with the report of the directors, audit committee, and auditors thereon. I now call on the representative of the external auditors to please present the auditor's report, which was circulated to all members, financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2020.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, distinguished shareholders members of the board of directors, members of the committee here present, regulators here present, members of management, and every other person present here. My name is Ikeja Lawal, as initially introduced, and with me is Mr. Ikeja. Yeah, I now present the report. However, distinguished shareholders, we wish to crave your indulgence to present some sections of the report. Yeah, thank you very much. Now I read. The audit report is on page 24. Now, independent auditor's report to the shareholders of Ikeja Hotel PLC. Reports on the audit of the consolidated financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the accompanying consolidated financial statements of Ikeja Hotel PLC and its subsidiaries, which comprise the consolidated statements of financial position at 31st December 2020 and the consolidated statements of profits or loss and other comprehensive income, consolidated statement of changes in equity, and consolidated statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the consolidated financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the consolidated financial position of the group at 31st December 2020, and its consolidated financial performance and its consolidated cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, in compliance with the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act No. 6211, and the requirements of the Companies and Other Matters Act 2020. Now, the heading there, forensic audit. We draw your attention to notes 25.2 and 46 relating to the recently concluded forensic audit instituted at instance of the Securities and Exchange Commission on the affairs of the company. The board expects that the outcome of the investigation will provide for a resolution of all legacy matters which are the object of the investigation. Our opinion is not qualified in this regard. Now, let's go to page 25. I'll read the first paragraph there. The directors are responsible for the order information. The order information comprises the chairman's statements, director's reports, audit committee's reports, corporate governance reports, and company secretary's reports. The order information does not include the consolidated financial statements and our auditor's reports thereon. Our opinion on the consolidated financial statement does not cover the other information, and I will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. So I'll read the first paragraph of the auditor's responsibilities. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the consolidated financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these consolidated financial statements. Signed, Ogogo for J.I. and Ikeja Lawal, dated 23rd March 2021. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, distinguished shareholders.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'll call on the representative of the chairman of the audit committee, Alhaji Wahab Ajani, to present the report of the committee.
Thank you, the chairperson of today's AGM. The audit report is on page 23 of the annual account. Report of the Statutory Audit Committee for the year ended 31st December 2020 to the members of Ikeja Hotel PLC. In accordance with the provision of Section 404, subsection 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 of Nigeria. The members of the Audit Committee of Ikeja Hotel PLC hereby report on the financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2020. We have exercised our statutory functions under Section 404, Subsection 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 of Nigeria and acknowledge the cooperation of the management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We are of the opinion that the accounting and reporting policies of the company and group are in agreement with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices, and that the scope and planning of both the external and internal audit for the year ended 31st December 2020 was satisfactory and reinforced the group's internal control system. We have deliberated on the findings of the external auditors and have confirmed that necessary cooperation was received from management in the course of their statutory audit, and we are satisfied with the management's response to the external auditors' recommendation thereon and with the effectiveness of the company's system of accounting and internal control. Signed by Alhaji Abacha Bulama, the chairman of the Audit Committee, dated 10th of March 2021. Other members of the committees are, please take a bow when I mention your name. Alhaji Bulama Abacha FCA, who is unavoidably absent. Alhaji Wahab Ajani, my very self. Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adesola. Mr. Kunle Aluko. Mr. Dr. Tomopoulos Alexander, Director. And Mr. Peter Enyeneko, the shareholder. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Alhaji Bulama is with us. He has joined us virtually. Noted. I guess our technical crew would help us with that. As copies of the accounts have been circulated to you in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Companies Articles of Association, I hereby lay before this meeting the Director's report, the balance sheet, together with the financial statement for the year ended December 31st, 2020. My colleagues and I will be pleased to answer questions and to listen to comments which you may have regarding the report and financial statements before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. In doing so, it will help to ensure that we give the right answers. If you could refer to the page of the report and account to which your questions or comments relate. Please keep your questions short and concise. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start with Mr. Okeze Boniface.
Mr. Chairman, I think we will run this AGM, the meeting, the board for the year. I think I would review this account and make the useful comment. We should not be guarded to limit to one question or one or the other. But yes, for time, they have to limit that. We're not going to take your time because there's not more to comment on this account. People used to say it's historical.
the company posted loss. I don't know what we're going to address that will change the status quo as it is today. The long story will not change what has been written here in black and white. But then we must have to also say one or two things to other and ask what's the way forward to move this company forward. I know they have been coming from the, from the previous loss for the years, but coronavirus have done also damage that have taken us to almost posting 7.something billion loss. After the everything will come by 6 points. That's on page 3. On page 3, 6.27 billion loss for the year. Mr. Chairman, that is huge. I don't know when we're going to wipe this thing off to make profit, to be able to share dividend, which if you look at page 7 here, which is lacking in all the agenda of ordinary business, that's the only thing missing there. But we are seeing other things, re-election of directors, approve the remuneration of directors, this and that, etc., etc. But there's no thing to be shared by shareholders. That is why it pains us that this loss is not good for us. Mr. Chairman, it should not be the board making, not the management. Today, the hospitality industry, as a result of the COVID that ravaged the world, many are now staying in their home. Many are not coming to patronize, to socialize, and to, a lot of people make their hotels as their second home, but that's not to be. Things have changed. But we are also looking forward that maybe when the disease dies, people will now begin to patronize hotels. We start making money. But then, we need to also be prudent in what little income that is coming in. Mr. Chairman, the chairman is joining us virtually at this AGM, I believe. He's joining us. I want also, looking at the chairman's statement on page 14. Page 14. The board, SEC-appointed board, still stands with I Chief Anthony Digbe, SAN chairman, and Alhaji Bulama Abacha. Mr. Chairman, I want to tell Mr. Chairman today, he's been doing well to bring peace, stability to this company. We are seeing their works, but SEC is not owner of this company. They are regulators to cry aloud. We must, for 5 years now running, forensic audit were not seeing the outcome. They must make this public known to the shareholders, their final decision, the outcome. We need to hear from them. Medicine available. Why are they dragging foot on this forensic? Because it will help a lot for the company to know the direction it's going. We cannot throw this in our way. That's why SEC appointed them. And we have seen stability being built to the company. We are seeing progress. It is not left on us to, okay, these people have done well. The shareholder now appointing them to be on the board of this company, not on standing by SEC. SEC are not owner of the company to be appointing directors. It is not their business. You appointed them as interim to come and put things together. When there's wild fashions, the company are driven apart. Come and stabilize, bring things together. And that's their mission. And if they have accomplished that, they should leave. And we hope the owners of the company to bring them back, the two of them that are appointed by SEC, or whoever else appointed by SEC. We cannot reconstitute the board proper in view of the good job they have done. I don't want him to continue to next year again. I'll see stand. Who's SEC? Regulator? What are we talking about? We must call a spade a spade. It's too bad for a regulator. They must make known the forensic outcome of this audit of the company. And that also give impetus of what the company is doing and where we're moving forward. Where are we today and where are we tomorrow? Until these things are put together, we cannot know headway for the company. And that's their job. They should let us know the outcome of these things. They should not be full dragon. Publish black and white, let us know who is who. And we'll put this in behind and move forward. The company cannot make progress. They can't move forward until those legacy issues have been discovered fully and put behind them and move forward, forge ahead, as they have been doing. That is my take on that. Mr. Chairman, if you looked at page 68 of this account I'm having here, got to do with administrative expenses, page 69. Administrative expenses. If you look at today, director's expenses, look at 2019 for a company, we have 60 million, 66 million, 89 on the group. What this increase all about? What are the increase all about? Employees, yes, I can understand. You have to pay those who are working for them to be happy. I don't have quarrel over there. Audit fee, commendable. I want to thank them for the good job they have been doing. At least they have maintained the status quo. Mr. Chairman, I am also worried here about repairs and maintenance, governing 27 million as against 3 million in the previous years. If you look at the toilet, I just went to ease myself this morning, this hotel here. That place looked dirty, I'm telling you. It looks dirty. When we say maintenance, in furniture's bed, I don't know how far, because previous year, I wasn't the last meeting, we were told, a lot of renovation are going on. The floors, how far have they gone? Is it all this accumulated maintenance you are giving us here? Because hotel is a place you come, you feel at home, relax. Most the convenience, restrooms must be clean at all time. When people go there and pee, the remnant that drop on the floor must be wiped out. If you go to another hotels in Abuja, you see how cleanness is all about. The fragrance will be clean, smelling fine. People to pass, you can even eat there. They serve you food. But we must take a look at this place and maintain it. Even at these pandemic challenges, we're talking about disease. Our hotel environment must be clean at all time. We need to do that. If you are coming to entrance of the gate, it's an eyesore. One was a security man. What sense of scanner? Go to our mentioned hotels, even Lagos here. Go to a hotel. You don't need to open your bonnet. That they're exposing themselves to danger. When you are driving in, if there's a traffic coming here today, event, and it stops a motorist to open the bonnet, if there's a bomb plant, they will explode and cut their head off. And that's the sense of bringing scanner to scan vehicle coming in. Why must you open your bonnet? That's a primitive way of checking things, We don't do these things at this age. So if you have been a scanner to them, all they scan the vehicles, everything planted there will be exposed, not opening bonnet, and you'll be checking. You expect checking bomb planted in the vehicle, you have been opening bonnet, you are putting your head there. You are risking the life of those men on the road. And he told me that the management asked them to do so. That is totally bad. We need to do away with these kind of things, And if we are using such method today, we can attract people patronage in this hotel. People will not come here and wine and do business or eat. Please, we need to change those things. When you are telling us cost of maintenance, cost of this, those things have been provided and being justified what you are spending for. We need to look at that. Be as may, Mr. Chairman, Fadeke, you have been doing very well, and I know you ought to continue to progress, with your experience. You have been on this board for some time now, so that this campaign return back to profitability. Everything we thought here to grandma without dividend. There's no way we can go here happy without something on our pocket. We just waste our time, come here, bath, waste traffic on the road. You come to the gym and nothing to go home. It doesn't all go well. We must bring this back to profitability. All the directors, I want to say all hands must be on desk. The foreigners who are here, management on the side of the hotel, you must be up and doing. If you look at finance costs on this the same page, finance cost, that is huge. That is huge. Finance costs, interest expenses is huge. We need to begin to file means. And this is not time. Since SEC cannot come out with the find solution, permanent solution, there's no way it can come to market to raise money. Until those legacy issues have been raised and put behind, you cannot say, okay, let's come to market, raise for fund to run this place. But you can only do that when business has normalized in terms of hostility patronage. But now, you make that go home, the child is dead. Every time there are need, we can't continue in this way. So let me leave it in this way so that can also make their input. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boniface Okezi.
We'll take all the questions together and we'll prefer answers afterwards. I'll call on Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. Please, let's be brief.
No. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, it's a good day to be alive in spite of the challenges that we're facing globally and also as a business. I'm Adebayo Adetunji Adeleke, and I want to congratulate the board, the management, staff, as well as the shareholders. The fact that we are still alive is an indication that we have not come to the end of the road. And by the grace of God, we'll be out of this pandemic, and we'll all come and rejoice together. Mr. Chairman, there is no need to belabor the issue. The results are very, very expressly stated. And the summary on page 3 is more than enough to tell the entire story. But we're not waiting for these results to know what the year will look like. Talking specifically about the 2020 operations, because we're all living witnesses. And if there are sectors or industries that were badly hit by the ravaging COVID-19, it was the aviation and the hospitality business, more than any other sector worldwide. So we were already prepared that the result might not be looking as good as we would have loved it to be. But that notwithstanding, Chairman, this is our business. We have put our money into this business. And there is a need for people to moderate the way they speak about their own business in the open. There's a need to ensure you don't run down your own business in the open. And the question I would like to ask you concerning this result with respect to COVID and the year 2020 is that the government has promised to give palliatives to the aviation industry. I want to find out from you or from the managing director, are we making efforts as a sector, the hospitality sector, to reach out to government so that we can also benefit from this palliative? It's very obvious that we are very, very badly hit. Number 2 is the fact that the business environment is getting tough by the day, especially in Ikeja. before we had this very impressive building that dominated the entire landscape and dominated the hospitality business in this environment. In the last couple of years, 5 years, we have had a shining, gold-plated one behind us. And right across the road, now you have the likes of the Radissons, the Marriotts, the Ibis Hotel, and all of them coming to the same landscape to compete with us. So I think also that we need to urge management that besides the effect of COVID, we need to double up because the challenges are not just going to go away. And we are in the same business. And so we need to do extremely more to attract people onto this business, and we need to probably be much more creative going forward. Having said that, Chairman, I want to congratulate this company, and I want to congratulate shareholders concerning the fire incident that actually happened over the fence at the other side of our compound. And when I saw the level of devastation that took place in that environment, my mind went straight to this business. And I was asking myself, what lessons are we learning from things like this? What lessons are we learning? And if there's any lesson that I want us to learn, I think it is the fact that we need to make sure that our interests and the interests of our neighbors are linked together. That we must always be our neighbor's keeper. You know, from the part of the country I come from, they said when your neighbor is eating bad beans, or what do you call it now? Bad beans, let's just say bad beans, in the day, and you refuse to warn that person, in the middle of the night, his cough will not allow you to sleep. So we don't have to keep to all the international standards and forget about what our neighbor is doing. We must ensure that our immediate environments are also helped in a way and manner that when things happen to them, the negative impact will not come to our premises. And that leads me to another issue which I've been hammering on the floor of this AGM about the nature of the construction of our gate to this hotel. This is going to be the 4th consecutive year that I'm hammering on this issue. That gate, with the security check and what have you, can only take one car, only one car at a time, without causing traffic congestion on a high road leading to both local and international airports. And it does not cost us much to make a recess on the inside, the drive-in, so that we move the gate a little bit. It's the gate, it's not the fence. So that anybody will be already within our yard, and you can have 4, 5, 6 cars at a time without them extending to the road. And that is one of the things that struck me when that accident happened. Peradventure, we are keeping some of our clients, 5, 7 cars, waiting at that gate. And you saw the impact of the fire even on our flower at the entrance. What would have happened? How could we have insisted that we are interested in endangering the lives of our customers? You said people should come to the floor and advise you. We come and give you free advice. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Nothing is changing. It is not good. If you are not making profit, we don't want to make a loss. And you can make do with financial losses, but there's no replacement when you lose human lives. Please, I'm repeating it for the umpteenth time. Let us have a recess for our gate. Let's bring it inside so that vehicles who want to come in will not be parking on the main road. It is not good. It is not safe. It's an advice, but we are beginning to see the stark realities of not keeping to some form of advice. Having said that, I think things are not looking as badly as some of our friends would like to paint it. We have seen the first half-year results of Ikeja Hotel, and I'm really impressed that our revenue has gone up to 3.7 billion as against 2.9 in the corresponding period of last year. That is extremely very exciting. The profit after tax has also improved significantly, where we recorded 786 million loss in the comparative period of last year. We have been able to reduce that loss significantly by over 70.8% to 229. That shows that we are moving forward, and that shows that there is hope. We may not be able to fully recover the grounds in the year 2021, but I am hopeful, and I'm sure that God is going to keep us alive, that by the coming year, things will be looking very positive for us to begin to place a demand for dividend on the board and management. So having said that, Mr. Chairman, since I said I was going to keep it brief, I know that you are a pastor. I'm married to a pastor. And so it is the Jesus parable that I want to leave you with. And when Jesus was about going, the disciple asked him a question. Master, will you now restore the kingdom unto Israel? I'm asking you, I'm asking Idigbe, I'm asking SEC, will you now restore our company back to shareholders? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take a lady now. Please, can we have you? Can we have your name?
Good morning, everybody in this hall. I want to congratulate us, at least for having this meeting from the management and directors, just to tell us the way things have been with them since pandemic. And I want to pray that we see the end of pandemic as soon as possible, so that we'll be able to continue with our business as usual. Just like the previous speakers have spoken, the account actually is, all the indices are in negative, but I want the management to give us an insight as to, God's willing, at the end of this pandemic, what do they have on ground? What's their plan to lift the company off the springboard and into progression and expansion immediately after the pandemic? And my second question, Ma, is I noticed that Marriott is managing this hotel. And Marriott has actually opened up another hotel nearby. Can management of Marriott actually promise us that they will not be competing, apart from competing with us, they will not be snatching our customers into their hotel? Please, I want that assurance from the Marriott. Then, another point I want to raise is on unclaimed dividends. We have some figures on unclaimed dividends, and to say that the government actually have their eyes on this money. So I just want us to see the work we can do in collaboration with the registrars so that we can lessen this particular figure so that it will look less attractive to the federal government. It is very, very important. Then on page 72, we have management and technical services agreement with National Office of the Technical and Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP, actually. With the way things are now, and with the terms and conditions we agree with them here, are we still maintaining this agreement at this rate that is stated in this account? Or are we trying to negotiate the agreement down as in the rate at which we agree with them? Because if we are all fasting, I think we should all fast together. There's no point for some people to be fasting and some people to actually be, belly full, so to say. Then on page 73, actually it was stated here that the forensic audit is completed. It was stated that it was completed, and now we have a smaller members of the family here. I don't know whether we can have an insight as to the way we are expected the results to go when it is being published. Just an insight into what we have there. So that's what I have for the observation I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we'll take one more question. We'll take one more. Please, can we have you, sir?
Thank you, our acting chairman. All protocol duly observed. My name is Evangelist Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, the National Coordinator, Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria. I've listened to the earlier speakers and took note of all they've said, and I'll be mindful of my own contribution not to duplicate or overemphasize the points that has already been made. Firstly, I appreciate the fact that the company is having its 44th AGM, and I am facilitated by the comment of the chairman on page 14. That's where I want to start my comment. Under governance there, the second paragraph, the chairman has made us to realize that the company has recently completed the corporate governance returns to the Financial Reporting Council. It's also ensured that every corporate governance issue is addressed and resolved. Furthermore, he said we have maintained a cordial relationship between the company and its regulators and the operator of its assets, Marriott International, key shareholders, underlying, and staff, which has enhanced business confidence. That is very reassuring. And that's what some of us who are here want to see, apart from making profit. Because if you don't have this cordial relationship, business will not come, and the operating environment will not be conducive. So I've said this is well said, and it's welcome. The others are very dependent on this relationship. I will point out a few things. On that same paragraph, under Capital Hotel, we have a revaluation surplus under Capital Hotel of about 8 billion of late. However, I noticed in the EGM notice I saw some time ago, not quite long, that certain portion of the shares of the hotel have been ceded to another major or core investor. I want some enlightenment on that, because under the prevailing circumstances in which we operate now, not many people attend EGMs, and by that, we don't have enough information as to the workings of our companies. Please, I want to know more about that private placement which is being given to an investor. Much has been said about the forensic report. Yes, there's been a bit of delay, but since it's now concluded, we want the the decision of the regulators to come out. I'm talking in respect of page 13, still out of the chairman's statement. Other references are on page 61, note 25-2, and pages, page 46, note 46, and page 73. So when are we going to have the SEC concluding report or their final decision? We don't know whether the directors already have some information in that direction, so we want to be guided. Moving on to page 17, note 4. I am happy to note that the company is still able to add more to our assets and equipment, because while depreciation is being applied to some, we have to renew some to continue our business. I say this is very good. On page 19, I look at note 9 there. I knew we have about 9 directors before. 2 has retired or resigned by now. We have effectively 7. And I want to say that in collaboration with the Security and Exchange Commission, which is one of the regulators, there's probably the need to convert 1 or 2 of the existing non-executive directors to independent non-executive director in compliance with the new law, that is CAMA 2020. And if possible, when we have the conclusive forensic result decision from SEC, we may have to appoint 2 more directors to be able to key into the corporate governance requirements. This is just an advice, because it's going to take another 1 year before we meet again. And I don't want fine, because we are operating under a negative situation. When the fine comes in, it's going to be very, very bad. So no need. We have to guide against that. Yes. On page, I've treated, I don't want to repeat that. On page 69, note 35.2, the last line under administrative expenses, there's this impairment of assets, 5.2 billion. And looking at it, it appears everything about Charles Hampton and company there is being wiped out. Can we have some explanation as to the rule or the law that takes off these assets from our company and what we have to do with it? Okay? Because that's very huge. I knew there was a line somewhere about it, but it wasn't detailed enough. That takes me to our performance. I don't want to reel out those figures because some other people are taking their time to reel it out. But on page 80, I look at the statement on costs, page 80. Costs under note 48. Yes, inflation is high and has made prices of inputs to be high, but in spite of rising costs, we are unable to adjust our prices to reflect the rising costs. The cumulative effect of rising costs and high overhead is what led to the loss recorded. Well said. But we still have to make some gradual and systematic changes in the prices of our goods and services as rendered to reflect the state of affairs in the country. Otherwise, these losses will linger for too long. So I want the management to take cognizance of that. Like I said, I don't want to repeat what has been said. We wish SEC will take quick decision now, and we wish decisions of the board and management will take us out of this negative position as reflected here. So I wish all of us successes ahead. By the time we meet next year, we will have to smile better than now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thank all the speakers for your comments, your advice, and we will try as much as possible to answer your questions. But before we go into detail in answering the questions, I want to specifically thank you for your positivity, for the positive outlook that you have expressed in this place today. The parable by Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, which was indirectly also spoken about by other speakers regarding what SEC is doing, I believe the representative of SEC, who is present here today, will take the message back, and there will be a way forward. It has been, that point was mentioned by all the speakers, and your points are well noted. We note your advice on ensuring that we take care of our neighbors. I want to assure you that this has always been in the front burner. We are not a lone ranger at all. And the general manager of the hotel is seated here. He would also attest to that. We note your comment about the gate, your advices will be, we will review it, and actions will be taken positively. Regarding issues that are directly linked to the account, I would hand over to the managing director, who would answer the questions relating to the accounts. But before I do that, I would just speak about the extraordinary general meeting that you spoke about for the capital raising at Capital Hotel. Yes, it is true that there was a publication in the papers for an extraordinary general meeting at Capital Hotels, and it is to raise capital to fund the growth inherent in that business, especially considering the huge potentials, you know, in that business and in the assets of the company. So a new investor is bringing in funds in order for us to be able to maximize the asset of that company. Thank you. I'll hand over to Mr. Netufo now, who would answer questions that are directly related to the accounts.
improve on our current position where necessary. Since Madam Chair has provided a solution to some of the questions, I will only go to specific, just a few additions I want to make. On the issue of expenses, the board is making untiring efforts to make sure that we put control measures in place to check our rising costs, to ensure that the company makes good returns in its activities. We are now collaborating with the operators. We are managing what they are doing. We have a kind of oversight functions on what they do to ensure that they are operating within acceptable cost measures as set up by the board. On the issue of director expenses, I want to say here that since the COVID-19 started, our directors have not been paid the allowances when they fall due. Most of the meetings, we are just accruing. We accrue for these expenses. They have not been paid at all. They have been so understanding and enduring the situation that most of the things, what they do, they run the company business even on their own expenses, especially holding meetings, virtual meetings, and all the rest of it. So I want to assure the shareholders that though we are doing this to accrue in the account, but they are mere accruals. They are not costs that have been disbursed. So there is no cause for alarm at all. Then on my good friend who spoke about government palliatives. Thank you for that question, sir. Immediately the effect became so burdensome on the company, we strategized with the tourism group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Federation of Tourists Association of Nigeria. We made a representation to the federal government. In fact, I was part of the study group that made a contribution to seek palliative for hospitality industry as they did for aviation industry. But when the government will reply, they only give considerations to SME. And how much are they offering? 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. So our own category of business was never considered by government. On the issue of unpaid dividend, Madam, we thank you for that information. The companies are aware of it, and we are ensuring that this is attended to on time. On the impairment of Shashamtin, what really led to that is for us to ensure that we are operating in compliance with the provision of accounting policies and standards. We receive, or let me say, Ikeja PLC owns the property in the gorge here, which is owned by Shashamtin, to the tune of 89.9%. So the company, which is our own subsidiary, received a notice of revocation of the land from Lagos State government. So it becomes prudent for us as a company that when we receive a notice of revocation, which the board contested, the case is in court. So we know by the grace of God we will win. But if we say we win and we win, this impairment is a mere allowance. It will be reversed back to the company. But we are just being prudent that, God forbid, if it goes the other way, it's better now we begin to get set for it in our records. So it's just an entry, and I want all of us to join us in prayer that at the end of the day, we'll give you the good news that the company has won the case with the government. And I want to mention here that apart from the fact that we're in court, we will also make effort to ensure that we reach out to Lagos State government so that this issue can be resolved amicably in the interest of the company and the public, even government itself. Because by the time the place is brought back and we begin to do business there, Nigerians will be employed, government will collect tax, and so on and so forth. So it's going to benefit both the government and the company and the society. So the last one I want to mention here is on the general effort put in place by the board to ensure that our company returns back to profit immediately. We are aware of the competition. We are not sleeping on our oars. We are putting in place strategies, and we are working with the operators 24/7 to make sure that we continue to sustain our level of operation and possibly surpass. And we are ready by our expertise and experience to cope with competition. We are not afraid of competition. Yorùbá ní ojú ọ̀run tó ẹyẹ fò láì fara kanra. Let there be 100 hotels. It will not affect us because we have the goodwill and we have the experience and we have the expertise. And I want to tell you, esteemed shareholders, we have been receiving feedback even from various hotels. People live here and go there, but we've been receiving calls that many of them are even returning to Sheraton because you can't compare Sheraton when it comes to service and our food. So by the special grace of God, we have started to recover, though we are recovering slowly, but we know we are moving forward. And our motto is forward ever, backward never. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MD. So at this point, can someone please move a motion that the audited financial statement for the period ended December 31, year 2020, together with the reports thereon, have and hereby been received. Okay, let's go to the second item then. Thank you. So item number 2 on the agenda is the re-election of retiring directors. In accordance with Section 273 and 285 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Chief Anthony Ihplc, SAN, Mr. Kunle Aluko, and Mr. Toke Alex Ibru are due to retire this year and, being eligible for re-election, seek to be re-elected as directors of the company. Can someone please move a motion that Chief Anthony Ihplc, SAN, be re-elected as a director? He's online, he's with us. Well, yes, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Mrs. Adebisi Bakari. I second the motion. Oh, sorry. I move the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Would a shareholder please rise and second this motion?
Thank you, ma'am. Olugbosun is his name. I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll quickly run through the voting instructions before we commence the process so that we can get it right. So for an electronic device was issued to those eligible to vote. Basically, these are the shareholders present and the proxies that have been nominated to act on behalf of the shareholders who are not here. The devices have been given to you. The device is active and is ready for use. So we'll announce a resolution, and then this has been done, and then the voting will commence. I'll just tell you when to start. As soon as we have a timer, and it's a 30 seconds count per session. So once it comes up, I'll ask you to proceed with voting, and then you can do so. On the voting pad, 1 represents yes, 2 represents no, and 3 represents abstain. So you are voting for a resolution, you press 1. If you are voting against, you press 2. And if you are abstaining, you press 3. Like I said, the session will last 30 seconds. The results will be displayed immediately. We conclude the session. The results will be represented in both the unit holding, and in the percentage holding as well. So please note that the device does not require that you keep your fingers on it. Once you press and you see the green indicator, that's a green light, it means your voting has successfully gone through. So you need not keep your finger on it. Thank you. Shall we have the timer up so we can start voting, please? Okay, you may now vote, please. 30 seconds. Okay, voting has ended. On the resolution to re-elect Chief Anthony Digbe San as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 579,890,000 units of shares. Please note that we need you all to vote. If you have a device with you, you need to vote. What we're seeing here is that some people are not voting because we have none against and we have none abstaining. So we have some people not voting.
How do you know?
Okay, thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, registrars. So no dissenting vote. No dissenting vote.
None.
So I declare the motion carried unanimously. Can someone please move a motion that Mr. Kunle Aluko be re-elected as a director? Okay. Madam. Thank you very much. Did you get the name? Thank you. Would the shareholder please rise and second this motion? Thank you very much. May I now call on the members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, can we have the timer up, please? Okay, please. You may vote, please. Okay. Thank you. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Kunle Aluko as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution. In shareholding, we have 579,831,000 units of shares. We have none abstaining and we have none against. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. So I declare the motion carried unanimously. Now, can someone please move a motion that Mr. Toke Alex Ibru be re-elected as a director?
I want to do that, Chairman.
Mr. Adebayo Adeleke.
I stand to move that Mr. Protect Alex Ihplc be re-elected as the director of Ikeja Hotel PLC.
Thank you. Will the shareholder please rise and second this motion? Thank you very much. May I now call on the members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we have the slide up, please? Okay. You may now vote, please. The timer is up. Thank you. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Toke Alex Ihplc as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,108,941,000 units of shares. We have none against and none abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you very much, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. So we go to item 3, which is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors. Section 408 of the Act requires that the remuneration of the auditors shall be fixed by the company in general meeting, or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Will the shareholder please rise and second this motion? Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Rio. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Can we have the timer, please? Okay, you may now vote, please. Please vote if you haven't done so. Okay, the session has ended. On the resolution to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 579,890,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare the motion carried unanimously. So we go to item 4, which is to elect shareholder members of the Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, our Audit Committee now consists of 3 representatives of the shareholders and 2 directors representing the board. And the board of Directors have elected their representatives, and they are Alhaji Abacha Bulama and Mr. Kunle Aluku. You are to elect 3 representatives of the shareholders into the Audit Committee in accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Accordingly, the Company Secretary received 21 days' notice in writing before the annual general meeting, the following valid nominations. Mr. Peter Eyanuku, nominated by Salau Mohammed Adebanjo. Second, Alhaji Wahab Ajani, nominated by Mr. Robert A. Ibekwe. And Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, nominated by Mr. Peter Eyanuku. These were the 3 nominations received in accordance with Section 404, subsection 3. In view of the fact that only 3 nominations were received for the 3 shareholder representative positions on the Audit Committee, can a shareholder please move a motion that Mr. Peter Eyanuku, Alhaji Wahab Ajani, and Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola are hereby elected to join the directors on the Audit Committee. Would the shareholder please? Yes. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bakari. Would the shareholder please rise and second the motion? Thank you. Thank you very much. The following shareholders have been duly elected to join the directors on the Audit Committee. Please stand up for recognition as I call your name. Mr. Peter Eyanuku. Alhaji Wahab Ajani. And Mr. Adelakun Adeshola. Congratulations. Okay, so we go to item 5 on the agenda. We go to item 5 on the agenda, which is disclosure of the remuneration of managers of the company. Yes, please. This was mentioned before we called on the 3 shareholder representatives. They are Alhaji Abacha Bulama and Mr. Kunle Aluku. Thank you. So the next item is item 5, which is disclosure of the remuneration of managers of the company. Section 238 and 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 requires the company at each general meeting to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. I hereby draw the attention of shareholders to page 71 of the annual report, which contains a report on the remuneration of managers of the company. Thank you. Will someone please move a motion for the noting of the remuneration of the managers of the company? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll go to item 6, which is the approval of directors' remuneration. As this item concerns me, it is my pleasure to invite the Group Managing Director, Mr. Theophilus Eniola Netufo, to conduct this part of the proceedings.
Thank you, Chairman. I hereby move that the remuneration of the non-executive directors in respect of the financial year ended December 31st, 2020, in the sum as stated in the financial statement for the directors be approved. And thank you, sir. Registrar, may I now invite the member to vote as I invite the registrar to please take the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we have the slide fully displayed, please? Okay. The timer, please. You may now please vote. Okay, the session has ended. Thank you. On the resolution to approve the remuneration of the directors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 579,830,000 units of shares. We have none abstaining and we have none against. Thank you.
Thank you, Registrar. Since there's no dissenting, I hereby declare the motion carried unanimously. Therefore, at this juncture, I hand over to the chairman to continue the business of the day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Netufo. Before we bring the meeting to a close, Mr. Boniface Ikeja, if you look at the screen, you will see Chief Anthony Dibe on the screen, and you will see Alhaji Bulama. So the technical issue has been resolved, and they're online, they're with us. He won't be able to hear you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the conclusion of the business of this year's annual general meeting. On behalf of the board, I thank you for attending this meeting and for showing so much interest in your company's affairs. May I call on Mr. Adebayo Adeleke to say the closing prayer. As I declare the meeting closed.
I want to thank you for the lives of the board members, the management, the staff, the shareholders, and all stakeholders. We pray, dear Lord, that you will take away the scourge of the virus from our land so that our business can return to normal and so that we can profit thereby. We ask that as we go, let your presence abide with us. Let us return next year and look back and say the Lord has been so gracious unto us. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
good. It's very good. So far, everybody.
So, sometimes, thank you, ma. Bless you, sir. Yeah. How are you? Madam Shah, group photograph. Yes. Okay. The subway should be here. No. Here. My own approach. Making. What